Joe Berlinger is an award-winning filmmaker, and you can catch his new docuseries on Peacock. He brought us projects like Conversations with the Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, Brothers Keeper, and HBO's Paradise Lost trilogy. But this time around, as part of Peacock's Doc Fest, Joe's newest project, Shadowland, reveals how conspiracy theories are taking over mainstream. It's a shocking wake-up call about the dangerous influence of conspiracy thinking. I sat down with Joe to talk all about the series and figure out why he chose now to dive deep into the believers behind the conspiracies. Joe, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Good to talk to you.
So let's talk about Shadowland. First of all, I have to say that I am a fan of your previous work. I mean, you do a very great job. Love Conversations with the Killer. But how did you land on this project? I mean, conspiracy theories have been around forever.
Yeah. Well, the Atlantic magazine did some great reporting a couple of years ago. They did an online special project series of articles called Shadowland that delved into this idea of conspiracy theory. And it really, spoke to me deeply, the nature of conspiracy theories and how they've become so mainstream. The foundation of American democracy are people with different points of view coming together, accepting some basic facts and doing what's best for the collective. And that is not happening anymore. We have divided into two camps. We point fingers at each other. We treat each other like two-dimensional caricatures. And that's a very dangerous situation because it ultimately leads to political violence. So instead of doing the usual, well, let's look at this conspiracy theory and show how crazy these people are, I wanted to have a more human approach, to have a little bit of empathy towards people, not give oxygen to the conspiracy theories themselves. That's the fine line we had to tread. I mean, it's just, it's frightening. It's not a handful of people. It's a good number of people. And we all have to come together and see what we have in common instead of what divides us, or this country is headed down a terrible path. When you can't agree on what's real and people hate each other, that's when authoritarianism knocks at the door. And I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you said it so perfectly. And I do want to commend you because I think that you guys hit that on the head, kind of capturing that humanistic approach and not so much focusing on the conspiracy theories themselves, but more so on the people behind them, their stories. And, I am not into conspiracy theories at all personally, but I found myself almost sympathizing and seeing these things through, the lens of the person really kind of going through it. And I think you guys did an amazing job in that aspect. While filming, did you get a sense of maybe these conspiracy theories are growing, or are we really looking at the small majority of people who just have these huge beliefs? Or do you think that people are kind of catching on to these ways of thinking, and we can only expect more people to kind of join this minority group?
It's not such a minority group, really. There's a lot of people, for example, a lot of people who believe the election was stolen. A lot of people who believe that COVID is a plot. A frightening number of people, believe these theories. And look, there's a grain of truth in every conspiracy theory. The idea, for example, one of the biggest conspiracy theories is that there's a cabal of 13 wealthy families that control the world, and we're headed to a one world government. Obviously, that's a false belief, but it comes from a place where there's a lot of disenfranchised people in this country. Our social and political system has not been kind to people who fall out of kind of a social safety network. People who are marginalized, people who don't have work, people who are, left behind in economic progress. They look up and they see wealthy people, having a very different life. So the idea that they're controlling society in the way that they believe is a false conspiracy theory. But the idea that we've left a lot of people behind in economic progress, is the grain of truth that we need to work on. You know, it's things like that that the show is trying to have a more humanistic understanding of.
Yeah, well, I have to say I loved it, and I think everyone out there is really going to get something from watching this. I love it. It's a part of Peacock's Doc Fest. I'm a huge documentary lover myself, and like I said before, your work is always phenomenal. Thank you so much, Joe, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Good questions.